Let me know when we're live there, Craig.
We're live.
We're live. All right, folks, it's Tuesday, and it's 7 o'clock. It's kind of funny because every single time that thing goes live, I say the same thing. And I say, folks, it's Tuesday at 7. Today, and as people are signing on, today we are meeting with Judy Kean, and we're going to talk to her about her glass arts. And for me to pretend that I know the ins and outs of that, I don't. I know there's a lot of glass around our house, but I'm anxious to learn more. But before we jump into the video, as folks are signing on, if you've watched the Tuesday at 7 series, we are interviewing creatives. We've done it for the last several weeks. And for everyone in the past, for those folks who have shared, we've given away some artwork by those folks. And Judy, you shared that. I'm going to carry on with that. But before we get started, we have a couple pieces to give away from Jerry, and he created some stone sculpture. So 2 weeks ago, we interviewed Jerry Schmidt, and I know that you and Jerry know, and we're going to talk about that a little bit. But I'm going to slide out here, and there's 2 pieces that we're giving away of Jerry's. And if you watch Jerry's interview, there's a story behind this, I guess, water-beaten bricks. And this is what he's given as these his sculptures. Now, he's a metal sculptor primarily, but he has some mixed medium. So we're going to be giving away this one first. And I'm going to just have you choose the name out of that. So everybody who shared is in this drawing. And the
winner is Judy Barakata.
Julie Barakata. So the first winner, we'll reach out to you. I'm going to put your tag right beside this one. Julie, this is your piece. And then the second piece. Thank you, Jerry, for this artwork. Deb Sherrill got the second piece. Deb is a phenomenal artist. She and I met while she had actually put on a group at the Artist Way. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but she's not in the dime, and she's also a paint pouring artist. And so, Deb, congratulations. All right, so if folks are out there, if you see some folks signing on there.
Neil, Zaza says hi. Barbara Miller says hi.
Good to see you
so
guys.
far.
If you guys would let us know, it's warm here. We have a fan running. We just want to make sure you hear us all right. So give us a thumbs up or a nod, and we're going to get into our interview with Judy. So yeah, give us a nod. And what we're going to do is, because this is a live stream, it gives folks on your side the opportunity to go ahead and ask questions. If you're watching this later, it might feel like it's live. But if it's Tuesday at 7, it'll probably run a half hour, 40 minutes, depending upon how the conversation goes. Feel free to jump in, ask questions, and we're going to answer those. We're going to start here, and then Judy's going to show us around the studio and around her business here. But Judy, share with us kind of the origin, the genesis of creativity. I mean, if you look back to your earlier years, where did that start?
I was raised in a family where there was creatives in generations, and I think that growing up, I was involved in scouts, I was involved in volunteers, and doing a lot of volunteer work. I taught at Girl Scout camps and things like that, so I got involved with helping Head Start and teaching and doing things like that, watching my mother be creative cooking-wise with an Italian background, as well as watching her sew and do craft items. She would knit scarves for Navy men, and her entire life she did hats and gloves, and we mailed them once a year to New York for all the Navy soldiers, you know. And my father was a mechanical design engineer, and so I was around people that were doing drafting, that type of thing. My mother's brother was a sign painter in Niagara Falls, New York. Did all hotel signs, and he painted those in the 90s. And her other brother was a furniture designer back in the 30s and 40s. So there's kind of like some innate skills I think you get from that. Before I did glass, I was a quilter, and I did a lot of quilting. And I think sometimes I find that people that have done quilting or people that have been involved in engineering can pick up stained glass very quickly.
So definitely, if we were to say nature, nurture, or environment, I mean, you were surrounded by it. Do you think there's a genetic component to it as well?
I think there is a little bit. I think part of it is your inheritance as far as people coming in from the United States. My mother was first generation. My father was second generation in the United States. And so they were hard workers. You know, they came from Sicily. They had to work hard to make a living, you know, not knowing anybody, running around doing anything. And I learned about glass from going to the glass factories with my parents. I lived in central Ohio, and we would go down to Blanco and Viking and Fenton, and I have a collection of it in my office. And I think the color and the light coming through, kind of like somewhere that must have hit my brain, that it stayed with me my whole life. So then later, when I had the opportunity, I started, you know, looking into it and saying, hey, what can I do with this? You know?
So that's kind of the why the glass, right? I mean, would you say it was kind of growing up and
Yeah, that, and I really loved my stained glass windows that were in my hometown church. Windows that were admired, German windows. They were beautiful windows. The church is 100 years old now, and it's been well preserved. And some churches you go to, the windows have a story, and some don't, and they're all completely different. And I think that it wasn't like I was in my hometown going around looking at other churches. But then when I moved to Cleveland in '84, I started looking at other churches and found that, you know, there was different styles, et cetera, that then I grew to appreciate a little bit more.
Yeah. I think that's just my personal observation is that I love religious art. I love stained glass and the glass work that you find in churches. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of new church stained glass being created. Is that it?
Well, I think what's going on in Cleveland in particular is we had, I think, over 50 churches that closed in the Cleveland diocese. So now what's happening is a lot of the windows at my old churches, they took them out and they kind of put them in storage. So now when a church is being built or they want some stained glass, they kind of go to the diocese bank of windows and pull from them. So a lot of stained glass artists are being asked to change the windows, to modify them to go into other openings or to retrofit them, etc. And so a lot of windows are being reworked. There also seems to be a trend where I think there's some churches that are just going back to all white windows and all natural windows, and they don't want the colored windows. We're seeing a lot of different things in different parts of the country.
And here's an elementary question, and it's one that I don't know the answer to. And that is, what exactly is stained glass? We sometimes hear stained glass, sometimes we hear leaded glass. I mean.
So, you want to take a walk with me?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Frank, thank you for following us around. Where are we going?
We're going to go to my library.
So we are here in Avon, and we are at your studio in a creative space.
Yes. The business was called the Glass Studio since 1984, which was stained glass. And then I relocated to this location and named the business Creative Space Avon. So the Glass Studio is at Creative Space Avon, but it's actually 3 businesses. But to answer your question about stained glass, this is stained glass. This is painted glass. So to me, when you say the word stained glass, it's a stain on glass.
Okay.
Okay? So these are pieces that I've done in the past. I'm not an expert at this. I'm more or less a novice. I'm playing with it. I didn't really start painting until about 7 years ago. This was my very first piece. I think this was my second piece. This one I did a few years later. It was an enamel. I learned this from an artist that was from Costa Rica that came to a conference I was at, and it gave me an opportunity to learn how to use some color. I've been playing around with these geisha girls right now to just do a study for myself where there's going to be 3 geishas with their kimonos. So I've been practice painting. These aren't the finals, they're just practice pieces right now.
Oh. So you get a piece of clear glass,
and then you're
nub it out the shape. Do you start with, I see these are in shapes of faces, or do you start with the flat piece like this one?
Yes, I could start like this, and I can put the piece of glass underneath, and it would be plain, and then I would be painting on top of it as kind of like a blueprint. Mm-hmm. Or you can do them freehand, one or the other. Gotcha. This one I'm trying to remove paint to take away for the hair, so it's a little bit different. But this one, and then I had to give her just a little bit of red lips because I think geishas have a little bit of color in their face, just a hair.
Just the hair.
But this room here I use for when I meet with clients.
I'm going to step away from here as we kind of flip through.
It's got my library in it. By the way, this is the geisha glass that I'm going to use too. It's really cool. I'll show you this. Just to show you a modern version. Look at this.
Oh.
Can you see that? It's bamboo. So I'm going to use that in the background with the geishas. And then,
you're going to layer the glass.
Yes. And then this is going to have glass in it where maybe it's got some texture in it. So glass isn't just about color, it's about texture, whether you can see through it or not see through it. Mm. So I'll be able to do different components together. And these were the pieces that I picked up to work with that. So you can see how I could maybe be layering these two together.
Oh, yeah.
To do one geisha gown and then do something else. So these are pieces that I picked up from the glass factory specifically for this project. So it's just one of those projects that every once in a while I'll come play with it, then a couple months later I'll come back and play with it again. It'll eventually get done.
Is this going to be a big piece?
Huh? It's probably going to be maybe 36 by 24 or something like that when it's done.
That is pretty big.
Yeah. And then this area here, this is some fused glass pieces that I'm working on in the kiln, and when people come in and take classes. Some of the pieces in here are pieces that I collect from other artists. This is a gentleman, Jack Pine, that does blown glass that's down near Old Man's Cave.
This is
the big
okay.
rondelle. And he just moved his studio from Columbus to Laurelville. He's known as the Pumpkin King, but I fell in love with that piece. These two pieces here were done by Richard Millard, who has now passed, and I studied with him at his studio in Antrim, and I was able to purchase these in his estate. So I had some people fighting over those with me when it was online.
And they lost the fight.
Yeah, so I was glad to get those. So it was nice to know that I was able to get something from one of the master instructors.
Yeah, and as we're coming through here, if there's any questions, are you gonna show us maybe?
Yeah, we can just pop in here. This hot green is the color for Creative Space. Instead of having a logo, I decided hot green was my logo. So that's why I have a hot green office. But
wait. So is that the reason behind the color?
Yeah.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I just.
Did everybody else know that out there?
Ironically, my bedroom is green, where I do also my creative stuff. My writing and things, and it's funny. Yeah, I didn't know that.
No, I just picked it for my own self. But these, when I was talking earlier about going to the glass factories, this collection in the window was my mother's.
So up here, you want to kind of point them out?
And she passed away 18 years ago, and these are Blanco glass, Pilgrim, Viking, Fenton, Corning. It's glass that you saw in the 50s and 60s. Most of it's from West Virginia, and only one of the factories is still there right now. This piece here is from, some of the pieces I have are from fellow glass peers This one is from Kathy Barnard. Hi, Kathy.
Is Kathy on there?
I don't know.
Hopefully
But
she is.
we'll
Seen her,
see her
yeah.
on. Anyways, Kathy's from Kansas, and she's a phenomenal glass etched artist. And she's with the Stained Glass Association of America with me. And I got that at an auction. So I have some fun pieces every once in a while.
You blow glass?
No, I've done some warm glass, but I have a hard time holding those pipes up. That's kind of difficult sometimes. But I want to show you, there's kind of some secrets in the gallery. See this little guy?
Oh, yeah.
I found him at Blanco Glass. See him? He's like a little alien. Well, we have some other aliens in the studio. I'll show you down the road.
All right.
So
was that like a discarded piece? Like it never got finished?
I think it's a tile that somebody just did some kind of a mold on it. I don't know anything about it. It's just bizarre. It's probably one of those one-of-a-kind things. And this is a picture of the stained glass windows from my hometown church that I was talking about. That was what inspired me. So that was at St. Joseph's Church. And there was Elmermeyer. And my office is filled up with Tiffany posters of different stained glass windows. I've seen a lot of these when I've gone to other museums throughout the United States. So,
you know, I've got a question, and that is, so we're talking about that Ohio, West Virginia, maybe some of the surrounding regions certainly were, maybe they still are, you know, kind of a epicenter for glasswork. Is there anything reason?
I think it was at one time because of the Ohio River. And Kentucky and Cincinnati was a real strong, heavy art location for stained glass at one time. Certainly to this day, a lot of the historical finds you find are like in Louisville, Covington, Cincinnati area. I don't find it as strong in central Ohio, but I think when you get to the areas where there's water, you know, we have Yakagani stained glass factory that's south of Pittsburgh. We have Wismont glass factory in West Virginia. Those are two of my main suppliers. And then Kokomo is in Indiana. Those are the three that are on the East Coast, and then there's some on the West Coast. But there's been some glass factories that have closed in the last few years. Some glass factories were purchased and they moved them to Mexico. So this specific medium is starting to see some changes, you know, nationally as well as internationally with how I'm buying my products now. I'm buying some things that are coming from Germany and from France, etc., where I never used to, but now I can't always get everything I need in the United States. So it's changing.
With such a delicate medium, glass, is there something that draws you to that delicateness? Is there anything to be said, or is it just?
I think I certainly like bevels. I like prisms. I like reflections, and it's all about the light. And I think seeing the difference between the textures and the colors and putting the combinations together. You know, when we go back in the back, I'll show you some glass and you'll see what I'm talking about.
Or you know what? Yeah, let's go there and then we'll end up, because I want everybody to see that last piece here, so we can finish up the alien. Let's go in the back.
So you want to see the alien number 2?
Let's do that as we're kind of touring through.
So this is alien number 2. This is a Dow de Verre that came from Kokomo Glass in Indiana. And my photographer for the gallery photographed it just on a light box like this. So it didn't look white, it looked clear. And then see how it looks clear here. And then when we put it on the light box, it gave it the white background. So he shot down straight and voila.
Yeah, now...
Isn't that great?
Oh, beautiful.
And he is, this is Lenny Putz that works on my web design, etc. And he does the photography here for me for the gallery. And he does curated art shows, and he has this in the center of his tent when you go to art shows and you walk in and you see it. And he's had quite a few sales with it. The younger people really like it.
Yeah.
This is unique.
All right, good time for questions. Are there any questions? And remember, if you hit the share button, that you'll be
getting a prize.
Yeah, placing a drawing, and we'll be pulling a name to get an original piece of artwork from Judy as well. We'll walk to the back. But so creative space.
Creative space is this room.
This is creative. Okay.
So this room that we're in now is a multi-purpose space that can be rented for private events. When I was looking for a space, I was drawn to this funky corner over on the wall here, and I painted the walls out, put new flooring in, and I like the cathedral ceilings, and it just gives you a non-cramped feeling. You know, and
you got a projector here?
I have a projector for the smart board so people can use it for meetings, etc. This piece here that I have on the wall is Bill Naiman's, and Bill is an artist that has shown here quite a few times. This was shot 2 years ago in August down in the flats. See, it has Alley Cat. It was here in summer solstice. And I just thought it was the best sunset picture I ever saw of the flats, so I had to purchase it because I love the bridge shots.
Yeah.
Isn't it great? And some of my artists that will come in for the gallery shows will do their photos on canvas, and sometimes they do it on metal, and now they're starting to use acrylics. Have you seen acrylics?
I have.
Yeah, they're really dynamic.
Yeah.
The way they look.
So you're talking about creative space, how it rents out. I understand, and I just, I don't know where I found it out, but you're starting a meetup gathering?
Yeah, we're going to start, I'm starting an event starting September 17th. It's going to be called Creative Artist Connections. I'm the founder of it, and it is for networking for artists in visual arts. Anybody in the state of Ohio is welcome to come participate. And we're going to have a meeting this September 17th at 7 o'clock, and it's free to come, and it'll be our kickoff, and we're going to do it the third Tuesday of every month. And it's going to be about continued education for business. We're going to have a keynote speaker that's going to speak on a specific topic. It might be how to do live videos, you know, or it might be about how do you do framing, you know, or how do you get your credit cards done, you know, that type of thing. So it's about educating the artists and filling in that left brain, right brain, and trying to balance everybody out a little bit.
So what's the best way? Through a website, through Meetup, through what's?
We're putting it, we do have Creative Artist Connections, has its own Facebook page. They can also reach me through Creative Space Avon Facebook page and through LinkedIn, and we're going to be doing some more social media with all of it as it grows. We'll be developing a website, etc. for it too down the road. So I'm going to be working with the Ohio Arts Council to help develop this. So it's one of the missions the Ohio Arts Council wants to do is to educate artists.
Yeah, and I mean that's the whole intention behind doing these was nothing more than network. I think that creative people have a special gift that when used and when networked together is really something. I mean, I think that cities could probably build economic development around the arts. That is the food arts, the fine arts, the visual arts, the film. That really drives things. You can't be replaced by computers.
I was, this summer, I teach at Lakeside at the Rhine Arts Center. I've taught there for 13 years. And on our way from the Lakeside, which is up near Marblehead, driving back, we decided to take some detours and go through Sandusky and Huron. And went through Sandusky, and I was amazed at how they're redoing Sandusky. And I thought, boy, I need to go talk to the chamber people there and say, what are you doing about art in this downtown? Because they're redoing the whole downtown. And it's just like, hopefully they've got a percent for art going on, you know?
Good point. All right, we're going to follow you into the back.
Just to give you a fun thing, this is the only helper at Creative Space. Do you know who this is? Do you know who this is?
Lamb chop?
Yes. When I was a child, I had lamb chop, and my brother, who I have a twin brother, had Charlie horse. And I found her a few years ago before I started this at Cracker Barrel, and I brought her to the studio. So she is my helper here. And so sometimes I leave her notes when I leave at night, and I say, well, in the morning when I come in, you need to be doing this. And sometimes I come in and I find the Bailey's bottle tipped over and a shot glass turned over, so I know she had a few drinks and just slept it off. But she's my helper, and kids come in and love her. and she is my only helper. I don't have any volunteers. I'd love to have some interns. That would be really nice. But I operate all of this by myself. So it's a one-man shop.
Teaching, gallery, creative space, all around art. It's wonderful.
Yeah. So if anybody fires me, it has to be her.
Has to be her. Yeah.
Yes. So we're going to go back here. This is a piece that just came in. This came from Kelly's Island, actually. It's got some damage on it. I got to do repair. It's all broken here and broken on this side. This thing was dropped 30 feet. So it's lucky it managed not to have any more than it did. It was well built. So it has one of those apples here that slumped. So I had to look around for those. And I had to call some different people throughout the state to get one because these aren't made anymore. But I found one. So my products sometimes are rare. I can't go to Home Depot or Lowe's and just pick up what I need. Sometimes I have to call Chicago, and then I have to call California, and I have to call Canada sometimes to get what I need because I can't get everything in the United States anymore.
Yeah.
So,
repair work, is that how much of your time?
Yeah, a lot. Restoration and repair, because whenever anything is over 70 years old, it normally needs to be leaded. Now you're in another area. This is the studio, and this is a combination of a couple different things. You're seeing a lot of restoration and repair. This was not staged for this event. This is how this was, okay? So, like I was talking about the fact that I had to get parts. This I had to get out of Vancouver, Canada, because they do not make it in the United States anymore. And it's a special zinc that if you look at it, see how it's like a Frank Lloyd Wright one, and this whole panel needed it, and I found out that I had to get it in Vancouver. This window's been bowed. It was in a front door on Lake Road, and what I found out was when I got a hold of the factory that took on the new die, he said, yeah, he says, I'm going to have it, but you're going to wait 4 months because I'm not going to produce it for another 4 months. So I had to wait, so I just got it. So now I can start on that. So, and then I have clients that, you asked me who my clients are. I have all different kinds of clients. I have religious, business. I have creatives of their own that are pickers. And this is a picker job. This guy, this was a speaker, I guess, at some point.
Oh.
And he wants me to make this look like stained glass that has a look of peacock feathers for the eye part, and this is going to be a lamp, and it's going to be held up by kind of like a nouveau lady where her hands are up in the air and she's going to hold this thing. So I've been playing around with the client, picking the glass and trying to figure out what we're going to do with that. So that's kind of funky. I mean, it's kind of an odd out-of-the-box thing. Typical lamps I get in all the time because people are getting things from China and from Mexico, and they're falling apart because they aren't reinforced right in the caps. This is a really old vintage lamp that I'm going to be doing some cleaning on, and it's got a few cracks in it. Some of the things are difficult to do anymore. So just,
wow, a little bit of everything.
Yes. This is kind of a fun project that I'm playing with. This is this kind of glass. These are end cuts. When you get a piece of stained glass from the factory, it's cut and it's rectangle shaped. Well, when they're pouring the hot molten glass on the plates before it goes in the ovens, it goes through and it rolls out, so your rectangle sheet will have like this on either side. So then they cut them off and they call them heads and tails. So I've been playing around recently saying, okay, how can I use those to my advantage? Because they've got some really cool textures and stuff. So I came up with this image. I saw this picture that was done over at Prayers for Maria here in Avon a couple years ago. And I thought, I'm going to see if I can recreate that. So I did made this from frit, the glass flower for the sunflower. And then I found these pieces and kind of layered them to get kind of a sunset thing going. So I'm just kind of playing with it. But it'll be kind of cool.
Yeah, I love it.
It'll be different. I'm working on that blue piece over there for the furniture designer show that's going on. And I'm doing a collaboration with Jerry Schmidt, the metal sculptor that you interviewed a couple weeks ago. And if you stay tuned, in a couple weeks you'll be able to see what that turns into. So it'll be a combination of brushed stainless steel with the end cuts, and we're going to make some furniture out of that.
And I remember, I mean, even if folks are watching this week, if you look back to last week, or no, a couple weeks ago actually, and check out Jerry's studio and his metal
in
sculpture.
Waterloo.
The Waterloo 7. You're going to see, excuse me, a number of pieces that have glass. Is that your glass?
No, that was another studio, but we're doing 3 pieces together for the furniture designer show. So I went over and we met, and I said, let's take a couple of your pieces and pump them up and change some things and add glass elements to them. So we're going to be doing the Dow de Verre, like the alien that we just looked at in the other room. We're going to be using some dowels, and we're going to be using this, and then we're going to use a big rondelle, and we're going to turn it into some furniture pieces.
Kind of metal and glass.
Yes.
That's such an interesting.
This back here is where the stained glass is. This is a combination of glass for students when they come in, when I teach. So, or for retail, if someone wants to come in and buy, instead of saying they have to buy a 12-inch piece of glass, which is typically what a stained glass supplier does, I say, well, you can buy a half sheet, or if you only need a quarter sheet, you can look at the scrap bins up above and grab something from up above, and it helps to keep the cost down for the artist, so that they are, you know, really getting a true value when they come in to purchase. A lot of the glass I have here is not made anymore. It's separated by manufacturers, it's separated by colors. This glass here is not made, this company closed. This glass is European glass. And you've got some, this glass here is not made anymore. There's some unique pieces that are really cool. I mean, look at these.
Oh, yeah.
So there's some fun, look at this. So glass is about texture, and it's about light, and it's about the designs that you use with it. This is European glass. You can't really see it because it's an English muffle, and it's got some dust on it. But there's a lot of different kinds. There's mirrored glass. Here's some that's blue. I mean, who has ever seen blue mirrors before? This is from Germany.
Oh, yeah.
So I have some rare stock, and I don't have everything, but I've got a lot.
You got a lot. I'll tell
Yeah.
you what, my wife Beth does some glass work, and she got stuck in traffic.
Yeah,
Which
look
is the
at
reason why
this.
she's not here, but she'd be right now going crazy, just looking at all these options for work.
Here, look how this would look cool for a fall project,
Yeah.
like the
Yeah, like
leaves
that.
and
Oh, it
stuff.
is.
So this is fused on there. So glass has changed where you're starting to see this, where you're seeing elements added to it, and that's where the kiln form glass is coming in.
Oh, tell us about that.
And this is the kiln right behind you. Glass that is used with frits, and this is all glass that comes in different
Step back.
different mediums. So this is a medium frit. There's some down here that is flake. Look at this. This is all glass.
Oh.
It's paper thin.
Then you use this to fuse
And you're
and
putting
create
it in
custom.
Yes, and
glass.
we've got pieces out in the other space, but here in the kiln, you can take a look. There's a green man in there. Can you see him?
Oh, yeah.
Now he's just one solid piece, but you can also add other components of glass with the combination of sheet glass and the frits to melt it. This piece here is one that's, give you a better view. This is one on a texture mold.
Oh.
So it's smooth on one side, And then on this side, it's all textured. And I teach these classes.
Oh, very nice. And then they drop in the kiln and fuse the glass and create the.
Yeah, the only
painting
problem
glass,
I
right?
have is I can only fuse one at a time because I have a small kiln. But maybe Santa will bring me a big one sometime. But,
all right, artists, if you guys, any of you have access to kilns.
yes. And then after you get something like this out of the kiln, you can then put it on another mold and you can slump it so it's shaped. So now it can start being a vessel. It can be a dish or a plate or whatever. So this is over here a combination of, I had a plate panel class a couple weeks ago, and one of the students was using the same green glass, and halfway through the class her glass broke. So then she came over and stole mine to use it to fix hers. So that's why this one got taken apart. Back here you can see this is where I have set up for saws and grinders. I can teach typically 6 to 12 people at a time in the studio, and I have other equipment than this. This isn't all I have, but it's set up. These are some repairs that have come in, and just got a lot of different things. Like this is something where this piece broke out. Well, it broke and I cut it out. So I was able to find the gold glass, the color, but the texture is just a little bit different. But after this is clean, you aren't going to see a difference. But in order to fix this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to break this piece out here and put this one in so that the two are symmetrical balance. So you do that a lot of times on repairs, because you want to make something that, you know, it's going to look as close as you can later. You've got different types of customers. Some people will come in and they just want it done because that's a rental in Lakewood and somebody demolished it. So they want it done as cheaply as I possibly can. So sometimes I can reuse the old lead, sometimes I can't. Can't create everything back to where it is, but I'm pretty damn good.
Yeah,
I've been doing it a long time.
You've got a lot of projects open, and that means a lot of talent.
Yeah, this I want to show you my back door. This is the reason why I got Creative Space. Is I love having the ambiance of this location. When I looked for a place to rent, I knew that this was not a buildable lot back here. So when we have the art gallery shows, where you see the tables over here, we put a tent up and put bands, and we put a bar over there with a tent, and we'll have tables and chairs. And September 28th, we're having the next art gallery show. It's called Artists in Northern Ohio. And it's 50 miles from Avon, going all the way to Port Clinton, and 50 miles south to Ashland. So I'm trying to find the artists that are like in Huron or Vermilion or Amherst that don't have an artist component, so they can still jury in the show till Monday at 5 o'clock, and that information is on the website. But we're going to have a band here. Rick Kean is a local musician from Avon Lake, and he's going to perform that night. We put tents out here and tables and chairs and lights, and people walk through the whole space. They walk through the studio as well as the art gallery when the gallery shows are going on. So it's a combination. See, I'm helping other artists as well as promoting my own. And when I work on the gallery shows, it's just about the artists. I don't try to promote myself. My job is to be, you know, helping them. But back here, you'll see there's loads of containers, and over on that side of the wall is the garage. But I'm the only retailer in all of Cuyahoga County now. The next closest retailer is in Akron, and so people are coming from Erie and Toledo to buy from me. That whole wall there is all stained glass bevels. Around the corner is lamp parts. This lamp came in, and this came in from Warren, Ohio, and some lady called me and she says, I've had this in my family for a long time. She says, I'm downsizing, I don't want to use it again, but I want to give it to somebody that will take care of it and will love it. So I said, okay, I'll love it. So I've got to do some repair on it, but I think it'll be cool above a round table eventually whenever I take the time.
I got a question from Jessica. She wants to know, this is great, where is the link to apply for the gallery show, the 28th?
Go to creativespaceavon.com under events, and they can also email me at judy@creativespaceavon.com, and I will send them the information.
Is that Jessica Edinich?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
And that is for all art mediums for that show. So this has the bevels, and then over there is all of the leads. And typically what happens is my closest wholesaler is Columbus, or I'm driving to Chicago or Buffalo or New York to get my materials, and I don't really want to ship stuff like this, and I don't want to ship large pieces of glass. So I'm usually in the car driving somewhere. So that means 4 hours somewhere and 4 hours back. That's a whole day of travel just to get my materials. So it's not Home Depot and it's not Lowe's.
Yeah, yeah.
You know?
Well, tell us as we kind of finish up, how has technology, I know like a lot of arts, technology shifts things, and I mean one of the mediums that I do is special effects, and in special effects a lot of it's going digital and it's taking kind of that old school approach away. Is that true with glass?
I think glass right now, you're seeing a lot of things being developed now more in Europe. We have some glass manufacturers over there that are letting artists do the way out of the box things, and you're starting to see artists that are dealing with solar panels in glass. You're seeing more public art where maybe they're going in and doing airports, they're doing hospitals. I certainly like doing public sculptures. I've done the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame guitars numerous times here, and I've done things for Asia Town here for public sculpture. Certain people will do mosaics, certain people will do fused, people will do glass etching, people will do sandblasting, just like the piece I showed you in my office. I don't do sandblasting. I wish I had learned. I wish I had learned that and painting from day one, but I didn't. I picked it up later. But I think you will find different artists have different specialties. By being a member of the American Glass Guild and Stained Glass Association, I go to their conferences, I meet people all over the United States. And so if I have a job that I need to do and I need 14 karat gold, I know I can call my buddy in Chicago and I can send a job to him. Or if I need a crew, I can get someone else and collaborate. So I'm collaborating now with my peers of joining and doing jobs together with other glass artists as well as people that are not glass artists. I think to be a true creative, you need to share and you need to teach and you need to keep it going on for the next generation. And I think being a part of a professional organization helps, so you're getting longer reach, and technology has really changed that. I can communicate with my friends on the West Coast or my friends in Florida, and we can collaborate and get information to each other. So I have people I talk to every day, either by, video chat or phones or computers. So it does help. When I started, I was self-taught. They didn't have computers then, and there was maybe 2 or 3 books in the library about it.
Well, thank you, Judy, for showing us the front, your office, your library, your space, your beautiful view in the back. For those who are joining or watching later, remember, if you hit the share button, and then in 2 weeks we'll give a piece of...
Do you want to see what it is?
Yeah, let's see that.
This is what it's going to be. I'm going to give you the share now.
Whoa.
The beveled one. And it's hollow.
That's beautiful.
See?
All right,
So-
folks, you see...
So the Irish people out there, you need to share. So you're going to get, it's clear and a real pale green shamrock.
That's nice.
Isn't that nice?
So if you share, we'll draw your name out of a hat in 2 weeks from now. We'll be drawing, and I haven't put up the artwork from last week. This is from Greg DeFibba, who was my special effects mentor. I'm going to put that up within the next 24 hours to see what we'll be giving away next week to his. And then 2 weeks from now, as people continue to share over the next couple of weeks, we'll draw a name out and we'll get this out to...
So who's going to be next week? You gonna announce it yet?
You know what? Next week, so we're in Lorain County and we're in Avon. I live in Cuyahoga County. Next week we're going down to Summit County, and I'm not going to spill the beans yet, but we're going to.
Stay tuned next Tuesday at 7 o'clock.
Yeah, you'll see it kind of push out. We're going to kind of go to illustration, and we haven't gone there yet, and we're going to be doing that next week. So we've had special effects. We had Neo Zaza, musician. We had Jerry Schmidt, metal sculptor. We have your beautiful glasswork, and we're going to try to round some things out. We're going to probably run until October-ish. We've got some fun stuff planned not only next week, but for the next few weeks. We might go dark for a bit, and then we'll probably open back up and see where we're at in October. So, Cher, guys, thank you for spending your evening with us.
Thank you.
And
Thank you very much.
yeah, and appreciate it.